Yo, what's going on, everyone? It is your boy right here, man. MMA Reloaded. We are live for an impromptu show of a kind with one championships, one championships of best. He is regarded as one of the best bantamweights, and one of the and now last time out for his last fight at featherweight, one of the most resilient guys, one of the most humble guys, one of the most respectful martial artists, not only to the sport but to the promotion he's fighting for. And as an Indian myself, it is a pleasure to interview this man because getting the chance to center stage and display the great Asian martial artists that are coming up in our sport is a pleasure and it's a privilege for me personally, and it's going to be a privilege for the fans, folks, because it gets them that time and that sort of it gets them that time and that information to know about the fight, about different fighters, different cultured fighters. So folks, this is Real Talk, MMA Real Reloaded, Real Talk episode 52. You know what time it is, man. So we're gonna do the particulars right now, folks, for Gurdarshan Mangat to come on the show. Folks, thank you for joining me. It's an impromptu show. You can see a clip of it after the show's aired tomorrow live on Instagram, folks. Only a clip though. To watch the full thing, you need to tune in either live right here on YouTube or come through tomorrow night with tomorrow like, afternoon when the video is fully uploaded, folks. But it's a pleasure to sit with Saint Line Gurdarshan Mangat. We were set to do this show, folks, in on the 22nd. So we are ready, we are live, and we are direct.
How you doing?
Hey, hey, Gurdarshan, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm alright, man. Good dog, man. How Tika?
Yeah, of course, man.
Bless you. Bro, first of all, yeah, as an Indian myself, it is a pleasure, man, to sort of center stage all Asian martial artists. Now that we're coming up in the mainstream,
Yeah,
and yourself, guys like yourself and Arjun Buller
yeah.
at one championship. So, bro, first of all, I want to start by congratulating you, man. One Dungal, and you came off a great win. It was a great fight. uh, you pulled off some real shit in that fight, man. Uh, but I want to talk to you, bro, because I saw your Twitter just before the fight, and 5 days before you suffered an injury, bro, to your orbital bone, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Um, talk to me through that, bro, because that's quite a serious injury, man. And 1 week before, you must have been like, what the hell? Am I gonna fight? Am I not gonna fight?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I had plenty of injuries going into that fight. That was just the one that got captured on camera because we had a documentary crew following me around on that moment, on that day.
Okay.
Um, I had a couple microfractures in my left and my right ankle. My back, my lower right back was completely gave out, and I was just going through wrestling practices without like wrestling practice is all lower back anyways. So I had no lower back for the last 3 weeks or so of that. My shoulder was already in pain, and you saw in the fight. Well, what a lot of people don't know is they're like, why can you hit the two harder? I tore my rotator cuff in the first round. I've watched the fight about 3-4 times, and I still don't know where it happened. I don't know what moment of the fight. I still don't know when it happened. If you saw when the ref was raising my hand, I was like in pain. He literally did the final number on it by raising my hand. Was like fully kind of tearing it. And then that orbital one, or the toe in the eye, it was just, it was the final day of training, I believe, like the final hard day. And we were just moving around. I trained with that guy a lot, and he knew when it happened. Like if you see on the video, he's like, fuck, like he knew. Felt his toe like go into the eye. And I've had my orbital fractured. It was 2012 when I was gonna fight in SFL in New Delhi. I had it completely shattered. It was like this huge. They thought I wouldn't get like my vision back and stuff like that. So it was very much, I saw the same kind of thunderbolt that I saw during that time. And there was like the camera cut off, but I was down there for about 5-10 minutes. And even today, I see little spots randomly. Sometimes I'll think there's a fly to the side of me, and it's just, I see these black spots. So it doesn't like ruin my like vision or anything. I can still see fine. I just have those moments when I'll think there's like something there, and it's from that. And it was something that happened, and it was just then right away after 10 minutes of being down there, I still came and finished up my next 2 rounds. And I was like, whatever, man. Yeah, but it was stinging and stuff for at least a couple weeks, and it was pretty messed up. But that's the risk that people don't understand, that when you're training, you're more in risk in the training camp than you are in the fight. People have this idea that we're just lifting weights and stuff. No, we're going hard. That time we were just kind of going slow. We were kind of cooling down. It just a moment, a freak accident that happened. But you can have way worse moments than that in training camps.
100%, 100%, man. Is that something that you anticipate normally, like when you're training before, whether you're in training camp or just in the gym doing rounds? Yeah, bro. Is that something you anticipate? Is shit? I'm going into gym. I'm going into sparring. It's like the 3rd, 4th week in my training camp. What if something happens? Always. Is that something that sort of goes through your mind?
You try not to think about it, because then you never show up to training, or you never be doing MMA anyways, because you're thinking about all the risk factors, and that's where most people kind of don't take the risk of doing really anything besides, even if it's not MMA, to think about all the bad things that can happen. So you try not to think about that, right? Even going into a fight, there's a possibility of getting knocked out, choked out, embarrassed in front of the world, but you can't think about those things. That's what keeps people from their dreams, right? It's the idea of what could happen, what's a possibility of the bad things. Obviously, you can't think about that. But sparring in like Las Vegas, I get the same anxiety, I get the same nervousness, the same butterflies that I get almost on fight day, every single sparring session we have out there, because it's that crazy in that gym. It's just like, you got guys that got fights coming up. Sometimes you won't see a guy for a couple of weeks. You're like, where the hell did he go? And then you'll go and turn on the TV and you'll put on the UFC fights, and he's fighting on that card. We can't even keep track of when a guy is fighting or when it's going, because there's so many guys coming through the gym. We've had guys when there's like 8 guys on one card, and I didn't even know where the 8 guys went, and then I went to go watch the prelims, and they're all on that card. And you're like, oh, that's why they didn't show up for the past week. They had a fight coming up. It's just so much talent coming in and out. With that kind of talent is also very high risk training, right? So, it's a dangerous place to train, but that's what makes you better. So when people are like, oh, you're so lucky to train with this guy, I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm lucky. I'm happy I get to, but in order to train alongside him and train in front of him means that I'm putting my body and my mind at risk. Yeah. So I wouldn't use the word luck in that equation, but the fact that I get to test myself against some very good guys day in and day out, that's what it is.
It's not luck at all, man. But there are some fans, Gurdarshan, that say in the gym you can never replicate the pace that you have in a fight. Yeah. Now, the way it sounds like you train is exactly the pace that your sparring partners and yourself fight at. Fast paced, gritty. You know, is there some truth to that saying that you can never replicate the pace and the fight as you do in the gym?
Yeah, it's true. Because I'm actually even faster in training. I know people were like, "Damn, dude, like you're fast." I'm actually even faster in training, um, and it's true because I hadn't fought in 17 months,
Oh
and
yeah.
so we were trying to do everything we could to kind of create that environment for me. We used to come in before everybody else got there, so the gym would be completely silent because I was fighting in an empty indoor stadium. I wanted to be able to hear my kicks and what punches would feel like and sound like, so I wouldn't be thrown off. I had my corner being the only one that was talking, so it'd be dead silent in there and only being able to hear him. And I would do 5, 6 rounds and not get tired. I also was fighting back from COVID. I got like my lungs got really wrecked
Mm.
from COVID. So for me to build that endurance that I have, because I have asthma, I've passed asthma. A lot of people don't know that because they look at my fights. They're like, "There's no way that you're able to fight the way that you do." And you said, asthma is something that I've had, but it's something I've fought through. And then when COVID came, it hurt people more with prior respiratory stuff. So it really, a lot of my teammates got it, nothing happened. It wrecked me. So I was, yeah, so I had to build all that endurance back. And so when I got in the cage, I was like, okay, I've been here in 17 months. This counts. How are my lungs gonna feel? And I was feeling my lungs like I was feeling it. And I never felt it in training camp. So there is a difference. There's a different tension, there's a different feel. Doesn't matter how many rounds you do, it is always different when you're in there.
So those 17 months you were off, was it because of the COVID? Was it because you got COVID mostly during that time?
So the first 8 months wasn't. Then
Uh,
I was supposed to fight in October. So I started camp in September.
uh,
And then a day before I was supposed to fly out, I tested positive. A day before I was supposed to fly out. And that night, it hit me so hard. It was like, I'm like, dude, I'm fine. Then that night, I couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs. And then I went from doing like 6 mile runs easily, like easy 6 mile runs, to not being able to run, not even jog at a very slow, like walking pace for 6 minutes within a day. That all happened like in a day. And then because as athletes, we kind of push our body already. So what happens for a lot of fighters is we overtrain, so where our immune system is already broken down because of the amount of training and never getting really proper rest, but like because we're just trying to get ready for a fight. So it hits so much harder when some sort of virus or something hits us, because first of all, our body is so pure from all the, like, all the training and the being at the highest level,
yeah.
but we are susceptible to more, to getting the flu much harder, to getting something much harder, because our immune system's already broken. um, so that's what happened to me. I could literally feel acid in my chest when I would just even shadow box. And this happened, and then yeah, tested positive. Fight got canceled, and then and then that was it. And then I didn't fight till now. And
So,
so I wasn't supposed to face Roshan. I was supposed to face the guy that I was supposed to fight in October.
oh,
And then when we got to Singapore, the guy that I was supposed to fight in October, he tested positive in Singapore.
oh
When
no.
we got there, I didn't even know I was fighting Roshan. It all got done within like 6 hours of me arriving. Um,
Wow.
so that fight was never scheduled. It was never supposed to be India versus India. That was never the plan. It was supposed to be the Philippines versus India. And so that was never the plan. It was never a plan to fight Roshan. That all happened very quickly. Literally the night before the card got announced to everybody else. So for people that thought that was the original fight from the start, it wasn't.
Ocean.
Yeah.
Bro, so wait. So you go to Singapore, yeah? Alright. And then a night before when the card gets announced, that's
Yeah.
when you know you're fighting Ocean.
Yeah, so I was already at weight to go to flyweight, and they're like, so I was ready for that. I was fighting, like I trained for a completely different opponent. It's one thing if the styles were similar, but it was completely two different guys. And Roshan was much heavier at the time, and they said that Roshan, there's no way he could make flyweight in that time. So I had to move up to 145, and I weighed in. I think it was 3 pounds less than even the weight class, because I couldn't put on the weight. Like there's no point of me putting on the weight. I would have just slowed myself down. So I was just like, all right, okay, so he's gonna have the weight advantage. And so before me and Roshan could even discuss it, I think their team had already accepted it. They had a contract in front of my hotel room door within 45 minutes of this whole thing kind of happening. So it happened very quick. The whole thing got very quick. Then the next day was the day the card was, no, the day before the TNT card is when the commercials started coming out. I'm like, oh, they changed it really quick. It all happened very quick. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what's happening now.
Bro, all right, cool, yeah, because you spend your career at bantamweight, yeah, bro, and the flyweight, and I was like, when did Gary start moving up to featherweight?
No,
I thought you did it on purpose, but I didn't know. I mean,
there was going to be no fight if I didn't. There was no way he could make the weight, and I was. I came to Singapore, I would have went home with nothing. So
at one championship, Gary, there's a lot of. Is it more lenient with the weight? As in, do they, even if you can't make the if you weigh less or if you weigh a bit more, is there some lenient compared to other promotions with one championship in terms of weight cutting and what you weigh in that?
lenient? No, they're actually more strict. They don't want guys cutting weight. That's why they do the hydration test. So what we do in one championship is we weigh in 2 days in a row. Where like in the UFC, you fight one day, and they don't do hydration tests. So you just got to make the weight. You've seen some of the people step on the scales; they're literally passing out. And one you wouldn't pass a hydration test. So if you miss either one, if you got to weigh in 2 days in a row, you got to pass a hydration and the weight. And if you fail either one, you basically fail the day's weigh-in. And if you fail either one of the day's weigh-ins, then you got to weigh in on the fight day at that hydrated and that weight. So your penalty is basically, if you don't make the 2 days, you also have to weigh in on a third day, which is the fight day in the morning. So you want to make sure you pass the first 2 days because you don't want to be low on energy on fight day. So yeah, I think one does it better than anybody because it was really hard for me to make 125. Like I would like the times that I made 125, my liver and my kidneys literally were like failing on me. Like I remember like the times I did it, I couldn't even I could feel my sides like giving up. And then at 135, over in North America, guys were coming into the cage weighing 165 and stuff like that. And I could never go over 145, 146. So I was always stuck between these two weight classes. I knew I was giving up weight at 135, and I knew I was making it hard for me to make 125. So when one came along, they did this hydration thing, and guys not being able to weigh, it literally falls right in the middle of what I usually am. So it works out perfectly for me. And it makes sure guys aren't huge for the fight, and guys aren't too small either.
Well, that's the greatest thing. That's what everyone should be doing. In weight cutting, yeah. Because, bro, you're right. The past 3 fight nights in a row, at least 2 fighters have fainted at weight.
Yeah, I and that one woman that stepped up on it's just the reality of it.
Exactly. And so with one championship, yeah, it seems stricter, but it's all about safety, right?
Of course.
So, you know what I mean? So, bro, I mean, you kind of think to yourself, then why the hell doesn't everyone do this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I guess with ONE FC, bro, is and I wanted to ask you this later, but I'll ask you now, man. Is what makes one championship so special to compete in, bro? As in, I know it bases itself on tradition, right? And the fact that the crowds don't have to be there to make an atmosphere. The fighters make the atmosphere. Yeah, bro. And what makes one championship so special to compete in that?
For myself, it starts from the respect of the fighters. I think that's a huge thing because I'm around, I'm around UFC fighters all the time. So I know what goes on in backstage. I know how fights are, I know a lot of things. And I always get messages like, bro, when are you going to go to UFC? And I'm always like, dude, I'm probably not. I'm not interested. It doesn't have that same fire for me anymore, that same motivation it used to 10 years ago. because there's other organizations that first of all pay better, that do it better, and there's just a different respect to it. So for me, honestly, the whole warrior code, the humility, the respect, I don't have to put on an act. I don't have to sell a fight by trash talking. I get to be me. Like, I represent my people. I want to represent it without putting on some bullshit show, basically, like like a WWE kind of like stupid. Like, I'm not trying to sell nothing. I just be me. I get to be that kid that believed himself and hopefully inspire people as I go along, and that's what works. And one's never told me to change that. Also, the way the staff is, the company is, I see how they treat fighters. I see how everything is and stuff like that, and they treat us much different. The way that what they expect of us and stuff like that. So in that sense, and honestly, when the fans come back, it's honestly the fans of one championship. I see how it is. Like, I've lost a fight in one, and the fans were still wild. Like, they were just like, they were saying me, man, like, you'll get up, this and this. And I've seen what happens to guys when they lose in the UFC. They eat them up, they tear them apart with just Twitter and just tearing them apart. So in that sense, it's just different out there. Like, it's just, there's a different kind of pride, and there's a different kind of the way the fans attach themselves onto the country of the fighter and stuff like that. It's different in that sense.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. And that's the thing, is in the UFC, bro, they're so with these guys, yeah, I think fans get into the UFC, right, for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, and they use social media, yeah, to sort of just influence this and influence that. And it's so easily done. Yeah, these discussion groups, and it sort of shits on fighters and it shits on fights and all it is. There's no appreciation. Yeah. And after one fighter loses, straight away the next day, yeah, there's all these memes and all this crap. But for ONE FC, there's no bad publicity.
No, it doesn't seem like it. No, doesn't seem like it. Like, obviously, you're still, when you lose, you're gonna feel that feeling, but and you're still gonna get certain fans. Like, I'm not saying it's completely free of it. You're still gonna get that,
but not as bad. There's not as bad.
No, it's not as bad. No.
Because bro, ONE FC, yeah, I feel the way Chartery runs it is, calm, cool, collected. All right, cool. Whatever happens. I know it's going to be a good show. He has faith and trust in his fighters to put it on.
Yeah.
But I mean, cool. Yeah, there's no. That's why I love watching ONE FC. It gives a different perspective, different economy to the sport, man. And bro, I'm a long-term martial arts fan, man. So but I want to talk about moving up in weight for you, man. And then, of course, it was short notice. Yeah, you were 6 hours before. How did you feel going in? Did you feel like, all right, cool, this is a surprise to me? How the hell, how big is Roshan going to be on fight day? How is this going to work? Now, did you have to change anything sort of last minute to go in there?
It was really too late to change anything at that point.
Yeah.
I've watched Roshan. That's the thing. The funny thing is, I was watching the fight last night. It was one of his SFL fights, and that's where I discovered Roshan. And I'm the one commentating his fight.
Oh no!
And I'm talking about how this kid is the future, and I'm talking about how he's going to clean this tournament, because that's where I discovered Roshan, was when we were over in India, in Mumbai. And that's why I spoke to ONE Championship to sign him, to bring him in. And then I spoke to Evolve to try to get him over in Singapore, and then only to have it all come full circle. So me and him have always spoken, and that's why this whole situation, when it happened, we were like, shit, like, it's supposed to be me passing on the torch, not standing across from him, but they took it. So it is what it was. So it was like the big brother versus little brother kind of thing.
Ooh.
And that's basically what the situation was, right? So I forgot what the question was.
No, exactly that, man. Now, how did you feel going up in weight?
So I knew Roshan's a strong wrestler, but I had to believe. I knew that he had not gone past the first round. His fights, he takes over in the first. Whether it was SFL, whether it was ONE, he took over the guys in the first and just dominated them. So when you have somebody that can defend a takedown, and now you gotta reevaluate and reshoot, where are you mentally? And we saw that, right? It broke him down. That when he shot, reshot, and I defended both, and he tried again, defended that. He kept me down. I got back up. You could see how defeated he was at the end of the first. And that's when I knew that's where experience came in, because I've gone 3 rounds. I've gone those distances. I know how to get my mind together, how to get myself together and come back out in the second and the third. He hasn't been in those situations yet. And this was the first time. And this was the first time we went, and you see the difference. And I saw the same thing happen to Ritu in her fight, right? It was like she was dominating girls in the first, and now she went all 3 rounds. So it was like, it's a different animal when you go into those second and third round. If you've been finishing and dominating everybody in the first round, and you've never had really anybody fight back from those situations, it becomes a different thing. So
with sorry, Gurdarshan, with Ritu, she's been to the third, and you're right, bro, because it chops down to the experience, right? Like it's all about your mentality.
exactly.
Or when Russian tried to take you down, and he couldn't.
Yeah.
We saw it. We see it a lot with these young fighters who come in and think, all right, cool, I'm just gonna get ground control, keep him down. Yeah, but it's not like that. Well,
like, I mean, I watched 4 of his fights last night. His last 4. Takes double leg straight on their back, puts them down, and they don't get up. And it's over in the first. So his last 4 or 5 fights have been like that. So 4 or 5 fights, that's almost 2.5 years, maybe 2.5, 3 years that you've never gone outside the first round. The last time he went all 3 was in 2017 over in India in SFL, and he was gassed. But the thing is, that guy that he faced had no striking. They were just 2 wrestlers just trying to nonstop shoot on each other. They had no striking. Now you got a guy that's just peppering you up the entire time. It's completely different. It's a completely different animal.
Was that your game plan anyway, bro? Knowing Russian and knowing his style, coming in, that you're gonna just stand up, sprawl the takedown, piece him up, and eventually he's gonna get tired anyway from shooting in. Was that going through your mind?
I knew that I was gonna have to weather a heavy storm in the first, and that was gonna be it. And then I was gonna see where he was gonna come from there, because I'd never seen the second and third of him. So who knows? Maybe he was still gonna be strong, right? But I knew if I could just kind of, and I was feeling it a bit too. And then something happened with my shoulder in the first, somewhere along the way, and I was just like, I couldn't throw my 2 proper anymore. So I'm like, okay, I guess.
That's why you relied on your kicks a lot more.
I relied on my kicks and just a lot of volume, and
And so, coming back after 17 months, but you must have been excited, but also there must have been some nervousness in there as well, because of the injury that you suffered during camp. Was that the case, Gary, coming in after all that time off?
Whenever people ask me if I'm excited, I'm never excited for these fights. You got to be pretty psychotic to be excited to get in a cage. I'm always nervous. I'm never scared, but I'm always scared that I won't perform to the best of my ability. I'm never scared of the opponent. To come back, I knew it was going to be different. I knew it had been a long pause and stuff like that. But just because of the magnitude of this card and stuff, and just the media going up to it, it was insane, man. It was just the hype going up to it. I just wanted to perform. Yeah. And in that sense, it's weird. It's like I can't think of the word other than excited, but excited gives a wrong emotion of what I was actually feeling. It's different when you're backstage, man. It's different. It's very different, because you don't know what can happen. There was that one shot that Roshan hit me with in the first, right? It was like, I didn't remember the rest of the round. I had no idea how I ended up on my back. I had no memory of it. That was literally what Khabib did to Connor, right? That overhand. It was literally the same situation. Right. And the funny thing is, I was thinking about that in the hotel room. I was like, what if he catches me somewhere and that he caught me? So yeah, it was exciting, and I'm excited to get back to it. I'm excited to get back to it, but once again, it's not excited that it's just staying focused. Just there's a different fire inside of me. There's a different drive. I love representing my people. This is my platform that I guess I've developed to be able to do it. Um, and this is what I have in this lifetime to be able to do it. So this is what I will work with.
That's it. 100%, bro. You gotta work with how you're working, really, man.
Yeah.
But to me, man, age isn't a number, man. So age is just a number, to be honest, bro.
Yeah. And like the thing is, I put everything into these training camps. That's what people don't get. Like didn't see my wife for 3 months. I went away. We had just moved into this house, actually, where I'm doing this from. I just moved into this new house. We had just built this house. I was here for 4 days, and got on a plane and I left. And now I came back as like I'm in a new house because the furniture wasn't even here when I left. And everybody around me was like, why you been fighting? Like, you've created a good life for yourself. I'm like, there's more to this. There's more to this. I'm like, I'll enjoy this home a lot more once I get the victory and I get to come home to it. And that's what it feels like now. So for myself, I sacrifice so much time away from my family and stuff, and it's solely based on representation. To be able to isolate yourself over in Vegas, just isolate yourself, surround yourself with straight killers. The more deeper I go into training camp, the more disconnected I come from almost any normal way of life. Like when I talk to my wife 3-4 weeks in, we're not even on the same vibe. We can't even conversate the same because whatever I'm going through, she will never be able to relate to. And whatever she's dealing with, I won't be able to relate to because most of the time I've cut all emotion or empathy or anything out of my mind. So I'm not like, I'm not the nicest guy to talk to during training camp because because I'm just around. It's like, let's say PTSD, when guys come back from war, they like, they're different. It's like, when you're around guys, just savages all day and nobody takes excuses and no one cares about complaints and no one cares about you bitching and moaning. Like you don't hear none of that. So you can't really relate to anybody outside of that situation who is complaining about anything or saying anything. So
it's all about commitment, all right, Gary.
Yeah.
In this sport, yeah, bro, it's all about commitment. It's all about effort, putting in the time, putting in the dedication. Mm-hmm. So, but of course, there is respect, and there is that family aspect. That okay, cool. I'm leaving my wife, I'm leaving my kids for this and this time. Yeah, but you're gonna go, you're going to work essentially. Yeah, it's not personal, it's business. You're not gonna go fight in the streets of Mumbai or anything, boy. You know what I mean? You're gonna go and do business. I mean, the thing is here, bro. Why I see is commitment and the atmosphere in the gym, in any gym alone. Yeah, but how does that affect a fighter? So whether you when you're in training camp, you're turning a different mode. But does the atmosphere in the gym have a lot to do with that, bro? As in with your mindset?
Big time. So like sometimes I'll train locally and it's much more casual. Like, we go in before sparring, we talk the shit, we kind of hang out. We're like, okay, let's get started now. Where I'll go into Vegas and sparring day and it's like, we'll train in the morning and sparring's later on in the afternoon. 9 a.m. we're all friends, right? We're talking blah, blah, blah. We come in at 3 o'clock, nobody talks to each other. It's like everyone's just like, you got guys just wrapping their hands, eyeing each other down. There's guys that show up with their own referees. Like Kevin Lee shows up with his own referee. So he'll take the cage and sparring him for a round. Kevin Lee will bring his own referee in the cage and they'll start you on opposite ends like you do for a fight. The ref will say go. And you're like, holy shit, like this is sparring. Like this, and you're just like holy crap. And then you walk into the gym and it's just nobody's talking to each other. There's a different intensity. There's a different mood. Guys show up with their own coaching staff. So everyone's kind of separated, picking each other apart. Boxing coaches, MMA coaches. We got Stitch, the hand wrap guy shows up. You're like stitched around over there wrapping hands. And you're just like, it gets really real quick. One of the big things that I have is I work with a sports psychologist now. Nice. Named Joshua Manuel, Fight Mindset. And he's actually the same guy that works with Rose Namajunas. And if you heard Rose doing the whole I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, it wasn't just it wasn't just her just saying I'm the best, like what you're hearing on the surface. There's actually a whole system that she's activating that we practice. So not only is the hours I spend in the gym, but there's a lot of time I spend outside the gym, where most fighters go and rest and like kind of chill between training sessions. I'm putting in mental work with my sports psychologist, and I think that's one of my biggest factors. That's why when Roshan was given to me as an opponent, I was so quick to switch. I didn't really matter. It wasn't like, oh shit, Roshan's a strong wrestler. I didn't prepare for a wrestler, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, screw it. It doesn't matter. We just change the face and that's it. And we go forward. And that's because of the belief I've created with my sports psychologist. And he was making me do I'm the best in the backstage and stuff like that. And there's a certain thing that activated. And if you watch my entrance, you'll see a different kind of focus in me when I'm walking out. I don't look anywhere to the side. I'm just straightforward. And you'll see, like, you can probably feel it in the entrance. And it's just a different thing that gets activated. But that's basically done with weeks on weeks of training with crazy guys that I do for sparring and trying to create that belief while before going into sparring. Like I do mental exercises in the parking lot in my car before I walk into the gym for sparring, because I do get that same anxiety, that same buildup that I do on fight day because of the guys that are going to ask me to do a round with me. You got every guy from Kevin Lee's, you got your Cody Stamans, you got Joe Benavidez.
Wow.
I was a big factor of Aljamain Sterling's training camp. I did a lot of with Brandon Moreno, who's fighting Figueiredo for the flyweight title, who, if you saw, put on one part of the greatest fights. Me and him, we always say that if we could record these rounds, we could probably sell them as pay-per-view. Like everybody stands around when me and him are doing rounds. Like it's like we go.
I can imagine.
Mexico versus India, like we go, and it's like just to believe that I could stand across from the future flyweight champ of the UFC. I'm just like, so you got to build that belief. Like when I used to train in Montreal and TriStar, I used to have too much respect for everybody because I'd watched all these guys that I was training with on TV. So when I used to spar them, they used to just beat me up because I had this crazy respect in my head. I was like, oh shit, I remember Yves Joboyan do the spinning back kick and landing on a guy. Oh, John McDessie landing this. George St. Pierre, Superman punch to a takedown. And then one of the fighters or one of the coaches put me to the side. He's like, listen, man, you are as good as these guys. You have to drop that shit now. Like, you belong here. And so you kind of have to put yourself in these places. You're one of these guys. So now when I'm in Vegas, I know I'm one of these guys, right? It's a mindset switch, right? Like, I still see Joe Benavidez. I'm like, oh shit, that's Joe Benavidez. I'll see Aljamain Sterling. Oh shit, it's Aljamain Sterling. I'll see, all these guys that I see, like all the guys that I see on TV. But I have to believe that I am also that guy. And that's a belief that you have to constantly train, that you belong there, that you are one of the best in the world. And that's why you're at that gym.
Man, I can just imagine training with those types of guys, bro. That's championship quality shit right there, man.
That's basically the top 10 of the 135, 145, and a few of the 155s.
Bro,
we had Francis Ngannou on the other side of the mat, so just one of the heavy alongside that guy too. And and you're just around crazy dudes all day long.
So that would be Extreme Couture, right, bro? So bro, training with Kevin Lee, training with your Cody Stamans and your Aljos, that's got to sort of give you so many looks, Gary, in terms of asking, learning from them, and them learning from you, and helping them with camp, and them helping you with camp. It's got to help you with your all-round game, right, bro? I mean, Kevin Lee, Cody Stamen, two great wrestlers. You got Aljo, who can flow and put it together the way he does. Does that sort of inspire your style, Gary, in terms of the way you fight is who you train with and how you train?
It's not so much inspire. It lets me know that I can be with the best.
Yes.
I remember when I first went to Vegas, I used to avoid those guys because I'm like, I don't want to get hurt. Now I look for those guys. I almost schedule my rounds before I get to 3 o'clock. I'm like, Cody, we're doing a round. And I know that round's going to suck. Like, I know Cody's going to wrestle me and beat me up, but I don't run from that. Like, I'm like, no, we're going to do the round and I'm going to do the next 5 after that. Like, I look for the challenge. That was a big thing during this training camp, was that I'm not running for anything. And so when the fight week comes, I have full confidence in everything I could possibly do. So when the opponent switch happened, it didn't even faze me. I was just like, let's go. And I know, had I not done those situations weeks on weeks and taken those steps and taken those risks, I might have questioned myself. That's why they say confidence is built in training. It's not built on the fight week or the fight day. It's built in hours and hours and weeks on weeks of the decisions and choices you make throughout the training camp.
Man, I mean, you can't be training camp, bro. Is set to build up. It's set to make you know that heading into the fight, this is what I work for, and this is how I've worked. I know how hard I've worked.
Training camp is a lifestyle in itself.
Yes.
There's decisions you're gonna have to make that are gonna make you. There's decisions that you make from, like, like I'm in Vegas. There's some amazing food. There's amazing nightclubs. There's amazing things to do there. And you have to make decisions what's best for your preparation for your fight. Eating this, going to that club, doing this, staying home, eating healthy, going to bed early. These are decisions that you make day in and day out in training camp. Train with that guy, put an extra session here, because when the fight week comes, these are the things you're going to reflect on the decisions you made and why you made them. So in that sense, that's what training camp is. It's a lifestyle that you take on.
So, bro, when we talk about, and before you talked about how one championship commits themselves to heritage, and each fighter proudly represents their country. Yeah, bro. And if we move on from training into the actual fight day, bro, and then in one championship, that's what we see, right? Is we see patriotism, we see heritage, we see culture. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about, bro, all the time. It's because for Upney and for Indian fighters. Yeah, but how do you feel? First of all, bro, how do you feel Indian MMA has evolved in the past, say 10 years, where we were practically unknown, to now where you see mainstream social media actually pick it up, and you see the ONE FC card, and you see the flags, and you see how many Indian fighters there are. What
Yeah, it's like, I started this in 2007 when nobody was talking about this. And I believe we would get to this point. So I've been through a couple of generations of the growth. I've been part of the biggest cards that have taken place in India. And I've seen the growth from media. I've seen the growth from fans. And it's nuts. I remember when I did SFL in 2012 at IGI Stadium, we had 15,000 people there. And I think the reason we had 15,000 people there was because Bobby Lashley was on it from WWE.
Yeah.
And I remember doing media after that, plenty of media, and everyone was asking the question. They're like, how did you guys decide who was going to win? I'm like, what are you talking about? How did we decide? They're like, well, you guys, it's pro wrestling. I'm like, this isn't, what I just did was not pro wrestling. It was a full-on fight. So I've been through that generation. I've been through that crap, right? Where media has nothing, where they're like, he plays MMA, he plays this. I'm like, MMA is not a play. It's not hockey. It's not boxing. It's not, you don't play fighting. You don't play fighting. MMA player, like all these kind of, there's so much cringe stuff that I had to go through while growing in this sport with the media and growing with the fans and stuff like that. And now to be here where we just held a huge card and people know what jiu-jitsu is, people knew what kickboxing is, people knew what things are, people know what ground technique is, what stand-up is. And just like, having actual real opinions on what the fight is and what could be and the future, and having real opinions than like, just some nonsense like stuff. It shows the growth. Even the media, such as yourself and everybody that's doing it, is just a different kind of education process. Where I remember when I was doing media 10 years or like, and like even up until maybe 6-7 years ago, I had to educate them on even what I was doing, and then we could get to the real MMA questions. And just like, it was like educating from like the ABCs of a sport to now where we can just jump into a conversation about MMA and I don't have to explain to you what MMA is. because they didn't even know what it was. So there's a lot of growth in that sense, and it's beautiful to see, and just what the sport could be 5-6 years from now from Indians. And as far as the Indian talent goes too, it's strong, man. Like, you know, like I spoke to one about Roshan years ago. They brought him on. He dominated. You know, you got people like Ritu. You got other fighters coming up.
Yeah.
I think one of the mistakes that we make, or Indian MMA makes, is they make excuses on what the training is in India compared to what it could be abroad. I think the training is strong, and I think there's this misconception, like I get this a lot, is that he has it easier because he's in North America. Like they almost believe like something was handed to me, like something was given to me, some sort of government funding was there for me. I myself have gone broke. I've lost all my money. I've put everything into this and had to figure out a way. There was no government funding. Even Indian businesses here would not sponsor me, because when MMA was still illegal here in Canada, and when I would go to a business and be like, hey, can you sponsor me, that I knew would make it millions and millions of dollars, they wouldn't even give me $500 to keep training, because they thought MMA was like a gang affiliated sport. You're fighting in a cage or something. So then the wrestling clubs, like Akara clubs, would get tens of thousands of dollars of sponsorship, because wrestling was so part of the Indian culture. But me being this MMA fighter who wanted to represent my people, there was no support. So I was having to hold down 3-4 jobs at a time and stuff. So for like, I always hear Indian fighters kind of almost sometimes hate on me that he doesn't represent us. He doesn't, because he had it easier. He had this, he took that. And I think that's just them playing up something in their own mind, that they thought something's easier over here. And it's not. There's no scholarship. There's no government funding. There's none of that. MMA is not a government funded sport or some sort of, there's none of that. Wrestling actually is. Wrestling, if you're a wrestler, you get funding from the government. I'm not a wrestler. So I wasn't capable of getting any of that. So I had to, basically, if I believed in this enough, I had to figure out my own ways of funding it. Yeah. And that's something that I think sometimes Indian fighters and stuff use as an excuse of why they can't make it to the next stage, where guys like Roshan are like, okay, you know what? If I'm not going to get the training here, I'm going to take the step of going to Singapore. Or other fighters are like, hey, I'm going to go to Tiger Muay Thai. If everybody's, or there's some people that stay in India and they train, but they don't make the excuse. They still keep growing. Guys like, you know, some of the MFN guys that fight. I know a couple of the guys, and they're training. They open up their own gyms. They do their thing, and they're getting knockouts in every fight, and no excuses. So the talent's growing, but I think the thing that's holding us back is the excuses.
So, bro, is that why things like things like SFL is so good for us as Asians? Is because you not only can fans learn and see what the sport is over in India, but fighters can also learn and develop as well. You know what I mean? Because they can go out and they can say, all right, cool, how can I do this full time, and how can I fully commit to this? Because you do get some fighters, man, who do have ambition after their careers, and say and open gyms and coach fighters and have that plan B, and sort of say, all right, cool, man, this is India, man, there's nothing like this here, there's a market for it. But and what you said, man, about how do you decide who when fans say, oh, how do they decide who wins and shit, man? Bro, you get things like that here as well. You get it now as well, bro.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Because Indians are so wrapped up in WWE. Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah.
But if
a lot of them can't convince that it's not real, they'll lose their mind. They still believe it. They still believe it to be.
Yeah, all you have to do is, but I mean, if Jinder Mahal came to ONE FC, it wouldn't be the same, innit? No.
He's a friend of mine too. Like we talk. We talk. We were just talking yesterday. We talk all the
time. You might as well hook me up with Jinder. No, I'm joking, man.
He's a dope guy, man. We talk stocks. We talk investments. We talk all the time. Yeah.
He's a savage, though, man. Shout out to Jinder, man. And And now, bro, I mean, it's great what they're doing as well, bringing Indian wrestlers over and stuff, man.
Yeah, I told them I'll come in as a tag team partner with them.
Bro, if you do that, man, that'll be sick. Because
I'll be the Rey Mysterio. I'll be Rey Mysterio.
because he was endorsing Arjun to come over as well,
Yeah.
and come to WWE. That'll be cool, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, when you do these shows, right, and you do ONE FC, Bahrain, Singapore, Japan, fucking even competing in Mumbai. Yeah, but how are those experiences for you, man? Because obviously, you know, you're not competing just in Singapore. You're not competing just in Myanmar.
Yeah.
You know, you're competing
Worldwide.
in so many Asian, Middle Eastern countries, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The way ONE FC do it.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that was always the dream. I always wanted to build up a dream that would take me around the world, and that's exactly what my dream has done. It's allowed me to see parts of the world that I never thought possible. It's allowed me to go to places I never thought possible. I've been to the Prince's Palace in Bahrain, special invite. Let me train there. Let me train in his MMA gym that's built in there. Only guys like Khabib and stuff are ever allowed in there. And just seeing it, it was just the craziest thing. And just going to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and like just meeting fans randomly there, and going to places like Phuket. I'll be on the beach, and guys will come up to me like, "Dude," I'm like, "This shit's crazy, man! Like, you guys watch, like, you know, just sometimes I get surprised where I'll meet like fans and stuff like that. And I still geek out. Like for me, I never wanted to get like, oh, of course you're a fan. Like, you know, I never wanted to get to that. And I never will, because I always keep myself very kind of grounded with that. It's cool as it was the first time as it is now. Um, Sometimes I forget, like, you know, how far these fights are reaching, where it's reaching, where things are going, like who's even seeing this stuff and who's being inspired by this, because you can't catch it all, right? And even right now, this fight that I did, just seeing the following that it's bringing and stuff like that. I don't know where these people are coming from, where they're from. I was in the UK and I was just walking around and just having fans come up to me. I've been in, yeah. So it's just like, it's crazy to me sometimes, right?
Right.
So it becomes fun. Like it's fun. It's like you know, I go to the movies in Vancouver and people are like, holy shit, St. Lion. And I'm just like, oh shit. And I'm just like, I forget what I could possibly stand for, because I always kind of just think I'm a normal guy. Because in my house, no one treats me different. No one sees me different. I have a wife that keeps me very grounded, doesn't let my head get too big, and lets me know I ain't shit, but just her husband. So you know, so in that sense, so it keeps me at a level, because she always keeps that for me.
For sure, man. No, for sure. But
Even she gets surprised. She's like, "Why do people care?" I'm like,
like, geez. But there are fans like that, bro. Like hardcore fans, yeah, who see the whole shit, the whole scene in MMA. There's not just UFC or Bellator, PFL, bro. ONE FC is the biggest Asian promotion, without a doubt. Even one of the biggest promotions in the world.
For myself, one of the craziest fan moments that I had, the dedication I saw from Team St. Lion fan was, I went to Paris and I was in front of the Louvre, and we're about to go in, and I got a message from a guy, and he was following my Instagram feed. He's like, listen, man, I live in Europe, and he took a 4-hour train ride to come to Paris and meet me in front of the Louvre, take a picture, brought us macaroons. I signed a bunch of stuff for him, but he took a 4-hour train ride to come here. I'm like, why would, like, just that blew my mind that somebody would sit in there, like, they would schedule their day to come all the way to meet me.
Like,
and I was just like, holy, like, I thought that was just nuts. Like
the
that was just crazy. And I was just like, I don't know what to do, right? And I was just like, that person showed up. He showed up. He came. And it was amazing. Like, I was very humbled by the whole thing. It was awesome.
But that must give you a lot of like joy, to, even though you're cool and you're respectful and you're humble, bro. But yeah, if someone recognizes Gurdarshan Mangat, Yeah, fuck yeah, man. You best believe you're taking a photo up with them, man. But yeah, but I mean, that's how it works. That's how it is, though, right? But as it continues to grow, a lot of people are gonna start recognizing you, man. And social media goes off, bro, after one championship goes on, you know, because they have Bleacher Report, they have the app, they have the whole joint to see.
Yeah.
And guys like me and a couple of other guys I know, we're posting it after every event. Yeah, man. So
Right now, I've gotten like about.
yeah. So there is a good side. There is a good side to.
It's been on here. It's crazy, man. It's just like this phone's been vibrating since Saturday. Like it's been just not like, put it away. I'm just like, I don't even like. It's just been going.
Man, I'm surprised you don't get. There are some guys who travel the world and get invited to people's houses to eat roti and stuff, bro. It's crazy.
I get that too. I get that too. I get a lot of invites.
No way.
Yeah.
No way, bro. That's great. I mean, there is a good side to social media, bro, and that's it. To be fair. But yeah, man. Boy, I have to say, man, it's been a joy talking to you, boys. It was a pleasure. Impromptu, man. We planned it for next week, but it came up now. Thank you so much, bro, for agreeing to do it with me, man. And yeah, I wish you all the best of luck going forward, man.
Thank you, man. You
Thank
keep it
you.
up.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely, man. Don't forget to recommend Jinder to come on the. I'm joking, but yeah, man. Gary, thank you so much, brother, man, and
No problem.
enjoy your day. The whole journey.